Good evening. Good evening, everybody. How we doing? How are you? Happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday. It is our usual Wednesday evening stream. How are you all? Overlord Trafford, I made it! Well, welcome! I was just playing around with my, I was just playing around with my stream. I have some sound effects now, which feels pretty appropriate for discussing things like 40k. I have just two, and they're making me laugh. So we have. Tell me if you can hear this, by the way.
Bruh.
There you go. There's one. and then when we drop some like hot takes, we can just go. Like that. So I can say things like 8th edition Warhammer 40k was the best edition of Warhammer 40k I've ever played. And then everyone will be like But I also had this idea this is what was making me laugh genuinely just before we start the stream. I was contemplating making some videos where we go, hello everybody, it's the hipster here coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial. And today we're going to be painting up insert model here. And that's what was making me laugh. I was having a good hearty chuckle at that by myself. But yeah, I just love the idea of the hipster. And Big Bad Peter Gaming has kicked us off with a gifted membership like an absolute boss. Thank you, Big Bad Peter Gaming. That's very kind of you. I think I need to actually update these member totals. But we're going to do that. Someone is having fun. I am having fun. I'm having a great deal of fun. Are you ready for the new Usharan model? Yes. I'm ready. My body is ready. My mind is ready. My face is ready. I love that Usharan model. I'm really looking forward to getting some Flesh Eater Courts armies done. I really am. I think it's going to be awesome. So yeah, I want to... There's two... Basically, I want to build about 4,000 points of Flesh Eater Courts. I've got two lists in mind. They're vaguely similar, but one has Usharan and a Terrorgeist in it, and one just has Usharan in it. For one of them, I would need to paint many ghouls, somewhere in the region of 80, which would be horrible. Because I like the idea of doing sort of that classic ghoul patrol from Warhammer Age of Sigmar First Edition. But your Grey Knight tutorials helped me paint my whole army. I indebted to you, my friend from across the pond. Oh, you're very welcome, Overlord Trafford. Did you see the Voldus tattoo? The Voldus tutorial very recently? That actually brings us on quite nicely to what the topic of tonight is, to be honest. 8th edition, 40k. Man. Oh. I miss Warhammer. I miss 40k 8th edition. I really do. Because there was just so much. There was so much hope. It was like the best time for me. For me personally. I know a lot of people didn't vibe with it. But I had just been playing Age of Sigmar for a year. Almost at that point, and I was like, I love this rule set, I wish 40k was like this, and then 8th edition happened, it was like, Are they listening to me? Have you been spying on me? So, yeah. When it happened, when 8th edition dropped, I was super pumped. And I loved the indexes as well. I really liked the indexes. That index hammer during 8th edition was so good. It was so good. Because everybody was just like at a flat... Everyone was just like at a flat level of power. There was no... there weren't... I mean, there were a few, obviously, standouts. But, like, there weren't, like... As I recall, there wasn't anyone super dominant. Unless you teched into super spam. So, like, the Assault Cannon Razorback spam thing of Space Marines. What's the next Tales category going to be? Unfortunately, I have well missed the deadline on this one. Nowhere near finishing. I believe it's Big Thing / Other. So again, it's pretty much do whatever you like. I think that's what a month 4 is in the cycle. Because we're in Specialist / Other right now, aren't we? Or is it Battle Line? How many months have we been going? Is this episode 7 that's coming up? I think so. The next deadline is Specialist, so literally it can be anything. Mixed bag. Hey, go for it, painting. Hey, Rock Golem, how you doing, man? A Voldus tattoo. I only have a Scarbrand and Bloodmaster tattoo currently. Still need to finish the Karanak and Bloodcrusher editions. You, sir, are the embodiment of Khorne, and I am absolutely here for it, and I think you're an absolute hero. I love you. You were sent by the Demperor to check me out. Welcome. And unfortunately, Liam's not feeling very well tonight, so I am the evening's entertainment. I'm not just the warm-up show. So you've got me for the next couple of hours. I got back into the hobby in 8th and thoroughly enjoyed it, even if played Thousand Suns and I got smashed every game until the Psychic Awakening. Yeah, that did happen to Thousand Suns. I played Blood Angels, and so I was riding high. Well, actually, at the beginning of 8th edition, I built an Astra Militarum and AdMech thing, and then I also played some Custodes, and then I changed to Blood Angels about a year in, because they were riding high, and obviously I just really wanted to play. Oh, Dark Angels as well. I played them for quite a while in 8th. I also played Imperial. I played such a wide variety in 8th edition. I loved it. So many different things. And then in 9th I played one thing. Demons. That was it. Played Demons for an entire edition. I mean, I was using the 8th edition. Like, this is how much I loved the 8th edition, right? I was using an 8th edition codex for most of 9th, and I loved it. That was, honestly, it was my favourite time. Fight me on it. I won't abuse this, I promise. Yeah, it's particularly made stark for me when I think of 8th edition Warhammer 40,000. Given as like with 9th and 10th, we've had so many erratas and so many balanced data slates and so many like chapter approved and stuff. I remember it being chapter approved once a year in 8th. I might have been wrong on that, but I think we had 3 chapter approved in 8th. And I don't know what it is. I yearn for that time of when it was such a drastic change, I think, from 7th, that it felt like it was the shot in the arm that it needed. Because 7th was great as an edition. The problem with it was all the formations, like the Decurions and stuff. 8 months. Thank you very much for being a member for 8 months, Carl of Hodgie. You're an absolute legend. I saw, actually, before we move on, that Mark, you've been a member for 30 months, which is incredible. Thank you so much. And also Dazran, thank you for being a member for 2 months. And yes, Liam is unfortunately not very well. He tried his best, but the right thing for him to do is to stay in bed and feel better. So like I said, unfortunately, I'm not just the warm-up show, I'm the headline act tonight. So hang out with me instead. And if you'd like to, you can gift memberships, you can give super chats to me, or you can save them for Liam, so it can help him feel better. Because I think he'll be streaming tomorrow. Matty, thank you very much for being a member for 4 months. God, you guys, we are in a lot of long-term relationships here. Mark's winning currently. He and I are about to move into a small maisonette. Laminated pigeon. Yeah, that's kind of what I kind of want to do. I wish I could listen to. I wish I could make a video where I listen to the end and death and I add my own sound effects, because that would be funny. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. Mr. the Colonel, member for 7 months. Mr. Warhipster, please tell us a bit more about Black Sheep Tiger Bread and also bombardment. I need to get that as a. I'm gonna get a button for bombardment. Hang on, let's see if I can get it. Let's see if I can. The bomb has been planted. No, we don't need that from CSGO. No, I can't find it. I'll look for it later. And then horror stabbed the Emperor for the 5th time. Bruh. I wish I did play 7th and 8th, but I started 9th and 10th eds now for 40k as well. I'm still enjoying it still. Yeah, I mean, you're probably better off having not played the second half of 7th, to be honest. Because the second half of 7th, at least, when all of the... I think it was when the Angels of Death supplement came out. That was when things got truly bonkers. The Monkar and Kalyon supplements were awful as well. Just bleh. They were a problem. I mean, the Tau Codex ones were pretty spectacular as well. I always liked oh god, what's the name? Optimized Stealth Cadre. Don't know if anyone ever played 7th edition, but the Optimized Stealth Cadre in 7th was hilarious. Because you know you had all of the the benefits of the stealth enshrouded across everything that was in the detachment, but the weapons always counted as being shot at the rear armor of any vehicle. And that's fusion blasters and things like that on the ghost kills and the stealth suits, which was very funny. I loved that as a concept. I also very much liked the drop zone clear or whatever it was called. And there was also obviously Riptide Wing. That was the one everyone used because Riptides were horrible. Carl of Hodgie has gifted 10 of the finest Warhipster memberships. Thank you very much, Carl. That is incredibly kind of you. You have put us on the lovely number of 800. That's what we like to see. I love it. W's for Carl. Exactly. W's in the chat for Carl. Thank you very much, Carl. I like to bring up playing older editions when my gaming group starts getting grumpy about 10th, especially when complaining about needing codexes. I'm with you, Chase. I kind of just want to... I just want to play some 8th edition 40k. I want to get... I want to play a couple of games with 8th, to be honest. I would even go as far as to suggest to Adam or Rich, if they're here, or if they turn up, that we play some Index 8th. Because I think it would be a drastically different experience for them. I don't know how much they played during those times. So when 8th edition launched, I was the manager of the Games Workshop in Banbury. So I had the full gamut of every complaint and every praise that was going for the edition at the time, and it didn't wear on me at all. Like, it was water off a duck's back completely, because I had access to it like a couple of weeks before, so we knew what we were talking about when it actually dropped, because that would have been embarrassing otherwise. And it was great, like, just because I was really excited for it to get it into people's hands. Like things like the concept of mortal wounds and this, that, and the other, and all that getting out there, and the fact that the templates and stuff was gone, and that was the biggest complaint in Banbury, was that the templates were gone. They were like, battle cannons are rubbish now. I was like, they're not. They work. Fundamentally, they work better. It's like, yeah, but you don't have that. You don't have that. That potential for them to miss, which means, and it's like, but that makes them bad. No, it's like, it's really fluffy. And it's like, well, yeah, sure, but like, surely like D6 shots, meaning you're only getting one, and then you miss with that. That's exactly the same effect. It's just less arguments over the scatter. I didn't know you worked for GW in retail. I did. For almost a year. Back in the heady days of Dark Imperium, when Dark Imperium launched. That was when I guided the store through that time. That was when I worked there. I left because my career before that in learning and development, I basically got offered a job, and the money was too good to refuse. So I worked at Games Workshop because I wanted to, and it was great. Honestly, the time that I spent with the community in Banbury was wonderful. And I was part of this little chain of the stores in the Midlands. It was Stratford, Leamington, and Banbury, and it was wonderful. It was just really wonderful. And I made a couple of really good friends with the other managers. And it was just a really special time. I loved it. I loved that time in... my chat is all out of order today. I'm getting some very weird things. I've seen a message from Captain Mannering's just come through saying, dude, you need to use it, the sound effects. Are you behind or am I behind? Hang on, I'm going to refresh. But also, hello Captain Mannerings. And hello Laura. Hello Edward. I started 4K during the second half of 7th, Gladius Strike Force area. Yeah, see my chat just scrolled. That was a lot of messages at once. 8th was amazing. Tail end of 9th was crazy, but to be honest, I really, really loved tail end of 9th Ed. I liked just before the Demons Codex came out in 9th Ed. That was my favourite time. Because that 8th Ed Demons Codex was cracked. And it absolutely slapped. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I was a grand champion of a tournament with an 8th Ed book and a 9th Ed edition. That's how good that book was. And then they killed us with the book. They killed us. Any stories about any fights in the mall car park where you worked? No, sadly not. Sadly not. Sadly, no fights. What I did have is I had the locals. So dumb. The night that I was supposed to put out my bins for collection was Sunday night. The shop was then closed Monday, Tuesday, so I would come back on Wednesday, and because trash pickup wasn't actually until Tuesday, but I had to put my bins out on Sunday, invariably what would happen is on Monday night, people leaving the pub would just think it was funny to open my bin bags and trash them all over the alley. So it was like first week, second week that I was there, and the butcher's next door came round and he went, "I've had it with this store," and I was like, "What have we done?" And he was like, "You leave your garbage all over the alleyway." I was like, "That's nothing to do with me," and I explained it to him, and he went, "Right, okay, we need to sort that out." And I was like, "Well, yeah, but I've only been here a week." It didn't get fixed for months, because obviously it's a lot of expense for Games Workshop to do it. So I ended up asking one of my relief staff during the last bit just to be like, "Can you literally just go in and take the bin bag out?" Like the butchers next door, they were like, "I'll just put it in our skip out the back. It's fine." So I did that for a bit, but then head office wasn't very happy about me doing that, so I had to go back to putting it outside. It was the bins were a real calamity when I was there. You missed the Dragon Force inspired hello. Oh no! Your hellos are my favourite. Let me see if I can find it. I feel like because I missed it, I deserve a bruh. Come on, bruh. Hipster. Ah, got you. On a cold winter morning in the time before the light, in flames of death's eternal rain, bruh. Hipster rides towards the fight through the fire and the flames. The legendary bruh. Hipster continues on. That's absolutely epic. You make me sound a lot more epic than I am. Mini painting dad with the 10 euros. I don't know why I trip on that. 10 euros. Thank you very much, Mini Painting Dad. Evening all. Hope you're all having a great time. I'm having a wonderful time. I love streaming. It's my favourite. But you've put us, Mr. Dad, over 200. That's incredibly kind of you. Thank you very much. Defo not Foxes. No, it was never Foxes. It was definitely the locals. Because my gaming night, for some reason, so the night I would be open a little bit longer so people could come in and play games of an evening, was on a Friday night. And there were times where I would briefly have to lock myself and the customers in the store so that they would stop being harassed by some of the locals who would just come in. They would basically come in to make fun. That was it. People would lubed up on a few beers, come in just to make fun of the nerds playing with their toys, and it was never like dangerous or anything, but it was just uncomfortable. And it was, I had a duty of care to look after the people that were in there. So I would very occasionally, just lock the door and let people out the back, which I probably wasn't supposed to do, but I didn't want people to get bullied or at worst get hit or something, or get their cases stolen, anything like that, because that would be awful. We wouldn't want that at all. We would very occasionally have to do that type of thing to holy balls. James. Dropping 500 of the US dollars. Sorry, this is the max amount YouTube will let me send. It's already like $490 more than you should. Can we get some claps or some cheers in the chat for Mr. James Matthias, who is unbelievably generous? Thank you so much. I don't even know how to convert that. It tells me £402. So, I guess that puts us on, like, 600? Something like that. Let's just go for that. Wow. It's a bit early to make me leak, James. It's a bit early. Can you see it? Can you see it in this eye? It starts to... You make my heart hurt in a good way. Honestly. James, I cannot thank you enough. I don't know if there's... If at some point I'm going to have to... I need to travel to you. And give you the biggest of hugs. And an army. Or something like that. Daniel Talpas, thank you very much for the $10. That's very kind of you. New Angron inspired metalcore song in the works. Happy War painting. That is incredibly kind of you. Thank you. Daniel sent me one of his songs before that he did Space Wolves inspired, and it's absolutely sick. Daniel, if you email me something like a SoundCloud link or something, if you share your music somewhere, I will post it here for people to go and find it if you're into that kind of thing. That puts us on a mighty £610. And that is just unbelievably nice and kind. Honestly, you've thrown me for a loop there, James. Never too early to feel love. No, I suppose you're right. That is wisdom right there. The kindness of some people is truly amazing. It truly is. It truly is. You know, maybe I need to get a sound effect just for James, like this one. Not that one, obviously, but you know. Like a crowd cheering or something. What armies do you run, Warhipster? Demons and Blood Angels are my two main, I guess. So I have exactly the same playstyle across both. Hello, Mr. Gwatkin. It's going very well, thank you. How are you? My local Warhammer store got closed for 2 weeks a few years ago because we got no replacement. The store manager didn't lock the door and threw the key mailbox outside the store. Ooh. James being a legend. Absolutely. James is truly like the messiah of this channel. Just so generous. Honestly, buddy. You're a king. Honestly. It's tough to put into words just how much that, like... You know, like when you know, like when your heart skips a beat? It's like that kind of sensation without it actually happening. The store was 2 weeks unlocked. No one entered the shop. Only one customer got his stuff and threw the money on the desk and nothing got stolen. How are you doing an honesty box in a Games Workshop? I'll never know. What you need to do, Mr. Hipster, is go play some games on other channels too, so we get to see you in the wild. Well, that is happening. I'm going to go and play with Liam in March. We've got a date now. And we're going to play Age of Sigmar. I'm going to introduce him and Joe to the wonderful worlds of Age of Sigmar. Unless they drop, like, the Demons Codex, and then I guess I'll be like, Can we play with the demons? Tell me your wise words. Show me your wonderful setup. So we'll be heading over there soon. Gosh, I can't believe we're already a third of the way there. That's unbelievable. Didn't they accidentally try the honesty box at one of the events? Sort of. I don't think they meant to do. I don't think they meant to do. I don't think they meant to do an honesty box. At Warhammer Fest, I think the layout was terrible and there was no one watching, so I think a few people managed to sneak out with some very expensive, very free things. Tabletop Titans feat Warhipster when? I'd have to meet them first. We'd have to talk. Man. I wonder if I can make a trip to the States happen this year. That would be great, wouldn't it? We could all meet up. What's an honesty box? It's just a box where you just go... it's basically just... like... You know, there's no obligation... Well, no, it's basically an unsupervised shop, right? Where if you have an honesty box, you go, yeah, if you take a book, leave a tenner. That type of thing. So to put an honesty box on the counter in Games Workshop and just be like, if you take some Warhammer, leave the money. I'm not sure many people would do that. Is this an exclusive scoop? No. I think we were talking about earlier on the COD channel. Age of Sigmar gameplay is in rare supply compared to 40k. Love to see more coverage of Age of Sigmar. Yeah, I wanna make it happen here as well, because I've got tons and tons of Age of Sigmar armies here. My Sylvaneth, my Stormcast. I'm working on a Death Army, Flesh Eater Courts. Working on Soulblight Gravelords. I have Slaves to Darkness, Blades of Khorne, Disciples of Tzeentch. Head Knights of Slaanesh. The other one that I haven't mentioned. Maggotkin and Nurgle. I got loads of Age of Sigmar armies, and I really ought to be making battle reports for it. The problem is trying to convince like Rich and Adam to play it, and they finally did when we went to Warhammer World in November, and they said it was the best time they've ever played, that they were going to turn their backs on 40k forever. It didn't. It didn't happen. An honor system. Yeah, that's exactly it, Andrew Draper. Yeah. If you pass through Dallas, I can get you in to see a Rangers baseball game. That would be sick. Would honestly love to see you play against Valrak. What? In Age of Sigmar? Does he know what Age of Sigmar is? What could you have received for FEC? Nothing, Captain Mannerings. I haven't got anything. Do you know what, though? Out of all the stuff that I have here, I already have like 2,000 points of Flesh Eater Courts. So I have, I've got 2 Terrorgeists. One is for the Soulblight, because I want to put Prince Vordry on a Royal Terrorgeist. And one is for the Flesh Eater Courts, because I want to put an Abhorrent Ghoul King on a Royal Terrorgeist. But with that, I've got the Vargheists from the Soulblight Gravelords Vanguard set, which are just Crypt Flayers, which can also be built as Crypt Horrors. So there's them. I've got the rest of Gerion's delegation, which is 20 ghouls, two lots of Crypt Horrors, which can be built as Crypt Flayers. So there's that. And then I've got to start collecting Flesh Eater Courts box, which has more of them in. So them, plus the Crypt Guard, plus the... I need to buy 10 ghouls, actually. Yeah, very nearly res. A tier started to think. I held it back just about. I kept it under control just about. Because the other boys bully me when I cry on the internet. To be honest, I'm very emotionally vulnerable right now after James has slapped out his $500. So it wouldn't be hard to push me over the edge. I also get started on AOS when 4th Ed comes around. The models are just too good. You absolutely should, Mr. Gwatkin. Come on now. I think you could take the AOS world by storm. I've seen you play. You've got the brain for it, man. You got the tactical nous. You work so hard in 40k with armies that aren't quite there. If you went into AOS with armies that weren't quite there, man, you just clear up. Mr. Watkins is an exceptional player of Warhammer. Reza, thank you. You promised duck money. DuckTales. Thank you for the duck money. That's very kind of you, bud. I'm just going to put that to 620. That's very kind of you, thank you. One of the store managers' one-man shop was a complete arse. He undercoated his personal miniatures with the spray cans from the shelves, cleaned them after using them, and sold them to the customers. Oh, God. Peter. That's terrible. Especially when if you need a can, all you have to do is known loss it, which takes it out of your allocation for stock. Right? Basically how any shop works, right? If you need a sample from your range, you known loss it, so it takes it away from your stock, so that when you go down a certain level, the system automatically replaces an order with your distribution center, which will restock you if you can. So, like, if you are, for example, like a game or a GameStop or whatever, and you wanted to have a, like when you used to be able to play the games in the stores, right? You would just known loss a copy of Call of Duty, for example, which if that took you below your allocation of 5 to 6 that you had to have in stock, it would just order one, and it would turn up in a couple of days' time from whoever their shipping or things is. Why do it that way? That's just awful way to treat your customers. I've just started AOS with the Bone Reapers, trying to get them ready for 4th. Nice choice there, Paul. I love the Bone Reapers. All of the death stuff has become slightly more, like, interesting to me in many ways. Like, Flesh Eater Courts, obviously absolutely unbelievable. Soulblight Gravelords, they've got possibly the best range of characters of all times. I love all the vampires, and I'm obsessed with the Castlevania anime. I might actually watch that again very soon, because it's just superb, and I love it. And as I've mentioned before, I want to do the kind of Castlevania-inspired sort of vampire army, because it's just basically a bunch of different kind of looking vampires, essentially, that are basically Dracula's court. And then I guess technically Usharan could sort of fill in as Death in the fourth series. PD Ostrander. Leaking incoming. I mean, bruh. Sorry. Bruh. God, you guys are going to get this thing funded tonight. I'm not crying, you are. That was a good excuse for me to turn off my radiator. Oh. Wednesday crowd, man. What are you doing to me? I don't know how to convert that. That's like 180 quid, something like that. We'll just do that. So, this is a cool 800 for the 1500 target. You guys, just unbelievable and incredible and generous and beautiful and lovely and wonderful. And I run out of words and superlatives that I can throw at you because you're so beautiful and wonderful and so lovely. And I don't deserve it. I don't deserve you. I don't deserve any of you. Not really. Wait. It is okay to shed some tears. I know, Colonel, but I don't understand why. Looks like my voice is breaking. It's terrible. I don't. I just need to. I need to be more YouTubey. Act like I own the place. I can't do it. I'm never gonna be able to do that. Honestly, that's just unbelievably kind. Thank you so much. 2 red postcards, and I hope they last the entire stream. Everybody can see just how incredible you guys are. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Talking of great lots, I'm currently trying to stay sane while edge highlighting my blood nights. Yeah, there's a lot of edge highlight going on. I've got the sound effects for this now. There's a lot of edging going on. Hey, yo. I haven't had a chance to submit my entry for Tales yet. Is tomorrow night too late? You'll be fine, Stephen. The stream is next week. It'll be next Wednesday. So you'll be okay. I mean, the hard deadline is today. But it doesn't really. You'll be okay. You can submit it. As long as it's not later than, like, Sunday. Because... What I should be ruthless and do the cutoff, but I don't want anyone to miss out. I never want anyone to miss out. I should just I should just like go. Oh, the next stream is gonna be this. There's no deadline. There's plenty of time, Laura, if you want to get one in. Look, okay. Listen, guys. Don't tell Warhipster I said this. All right. It's just you and me. All right, everybody out there. The deadline for Tales is tonight. However, Josh won't be able to edit the pack until Monday morning at the latest. Well, at the earliest. Or Wednesday afternoon at the latest. So as long as you get your stuff in between now and then, you should be fine. But don't tell him I said that, because otherwise he'll get really, really cross. Because he's a tyrant. You've got plenty of time. What is Tales? Tales is our monthly showcase of the projects that you guys are working on, basically. So what we have is the tale of many Warhipsters, which is the community thing where everybody, basically what you do is there's a bunch of streams, you can go and watch them, you can see the format of how the streams work. Basically what you do is you paint something up based on the theme, although it doesn't really have to be, you can just paint something up, and then you submit it before the deadline, although it's not really a head deadline, but don't tell Warhipster I said that. Submit it via the deadline. You can either do that via the members Discord channel by sending me an email to therealwarhipster@gmail.com, or you can do it by going to the Google form that is on the stream. The most recent stream, because I closed them. Everything. Is there a theme? This one, the theme at this current month is specialist/other, so it can be pretty much anything. So usually, I think it goes. If I've got it right in my head, it goes hero/character month 1, troops/battle line/ average jobber, if you're just doing like a kill team, for example, across the year. That's month 2, and then month 3 is specialist/other. So back in the day, that would have been elite, heavy support, fast attack, dedicated transport, that kind of thing. And then number 4 is big thing /other. So again, anything if you're going down the 40k route. But obviously, they've thrown all that out with the bathwater now, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to HR and tell him Josh is breaking Warhipster policy. No, Adam! Adam, don't tell him. He'll be really cross. He'll strike me again. Oh, good lord. Yes, I haven't even mentioned it myself. Thank you for reminding me there, Laura. If you could at home, please like the stream. That would be incredibly generous and kind of you. Definitely helps out people like myself, and it brings more people in here to watch. Is the GDCR okay for this month? Absolutely. Absolutely it is. Because it's another. So it's a character. So it can absolutely be a submission for this month. I said, there used to be rules like you must stick to this, and then I was just like, rules are for cowards. I painted a new skull takeover this month compared it to my original that I painted when I got into the hobby a year and a half ago, and it was a huge improvement. Kudos to your excellent tutorials. Thank you very much, Scarbrand. That's very kind of you. I'm sure you've crushed it both times, and I'm glad I could help. I want to paint more demons. I haven't painted any demons in a while. I'm kind of just waiting to see if they get anything. Allegedly, they're going to get something. Who knows what it'll be. Maybe more demons of Undivided. Maybe Vashtor will join us in the next codex. Who knows? I don't know. Or it'll be another named demon prince or something. I just don't know. Like, I think you either... Well, you don't have to redesign all the demons at once. Obviously, that can be done every time there's a new AOS book. But, you know... I just don't think they know what they want to do with demons. And they're like this awkward thing that sits there. Because they're kind of they should be just like this primordial force on the tabletop, and you put them down and they hit like a pool noodle. You're basing your Angmar army at the moment. That's awesome. I'm going to do my Minas Tirith soon. That's a Me Time Monday waiting to happen. I need to build these guys. But they're Forge World, so I haven't done it yet. I have to psych myself up to do Forge World. I've just noticed they're very pretty swords. I'm a fan of a pretty sword. I'm very shocked they didn't nerf my Necrons. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I didn't think they would change their rules. I think they would just massively bump the points up. I almost thought maybe there would be a huge stack on like the monolith just to stop people from doing what happened in the LVO final. But that didn't happen, so you know, it is what it is. I hope Vashi gets better rules. A full Dark Mechanicum force would be epic. Yeah, something like that. Is that an unpainted Marathi daughter of Cain behind you? Unpainted? Where? Oh, you mean back there? No, that's Fulgrim. That's Fulgrim Transcended. Are the pretty swords straight? They are indeed, Jorfin. What do you think to dark bone skeletons? Kind of like the construct skin colour on the bone, like it's fossilized. Think it will work? Yeah, no, definitely will. Definitely it will work. I really like the idea of the kind of darker brown skeletons. It kind of gives them an almost like burnt feeling to them, which is really cool. Like, yeah, like you said, fossilized. Yeah, it absolutely works. No, it's alright, Daniel. It's in the dark. What I do have is I have a painted Marathi. Do you want to see painted Marathi? Here she is. Focus. Okay, apparently it doesn't want to focus. Here we are. There is a video for this. If you would like to follow along. It's one of the best miniatures I've ever painted, I think. I think I did an excellent job on this one. If it wanted to focus. I was so proud of that face. Genuinely, like I said, one of the best jobs I ever did. Five out of 10. Yeah, he's not wrong. Oh, now we're crash zoomed. This is what I need. I need for my sound effects. I need it to crash zoom as well. Did we talk about 8th edition? Yeah, we did, briefly. And we're still talking about it. Like I said, I was saying earlier, like 8th edition, 8th edition 40k. I think that was also when I played the most tournaments. Obviously, it was pre-pandemic. I think it was when I was at my most interactive with other people. And do you know what? One of the things I miss other people deciding that they have to make their own game pack to balance the game competitively. So you know how ITC used to produce a pack that would change the game, so you'd play ITC 40k rather than match play 40k, for example. Yeah, that was 8th edition was the last time that happened. When 9th edition came along, they were like, 9th edition is now just what 8th edition ITC was, including the way it was, including the way you scored the game, right? To me, it says that if an independent organization doesn't have to create a pack that they have historically done so for a couple of editions to make it more balanced from a competitive tournament standard, then that says that the core rules and the core way the game is played is focused on a competitive standard. And that's what 9th edition was. Now, that's for some people and that's not for other people. It's not particularly for me. I really like a game where you score based on holding the objectives, and then you have First Blood, Line Breaker, and Slay the Warlord as the secondaries. I love that. I think that's fun. And I miss that. One thing I really like is the way secondaries are done, how VPs are done in Old World, and I'm not enough familiar with it to be able to give a good explanation of it. But what I read and what I remember reading, I was like, this is cool, because you score hundreds of points in that game, which feels wonderful. Can you tell us what each army was like in 8th edition? Ooh. There were so many eras to 8th edition. There were so many, like... I feel like the meta constantly shifted. There was the time when Blood Angels... Well, I think the best thing to do is to kind of go back to sort of the early days. So you had the indexes, and then the codexes started to come out. And there was two different styles of building an army in 8th edition. One was you took detachments to generate command points. So that was one way to do it, right? So I think if you took a battalion, you gained 5 command points. That type of thing. They changed it about 2/3 of the way through. I think it was maybe in year 2. They changed it they changed it so that you started with a pool of command points and you spent them to take detachments. Because there was a problem with people taking something called the Loyal 32, which was because your allies were a thing back then. People would take 3 units of 10 guardsmen and like 2 commanders, whatever they were called, because it was really cheap way of putting 5 command points, or however many it was. It might have even been 6 command points. To put them into your list so that you could then augment something like Imperial Knights, which were very strong, but they had lacked the CP to be able to do all of the insane stratagems that they had, because the Imperial Knights book when it came out was absolutely an atrocity. It was a war crime. It was so good. Like, it was an absolutely unbelievable book. It was written by somebody who clearly loves Imperial Knights and was just like, I want to make the best Imperial Knights book that can possibly be made by anyone ever. So that was when we had the days of the 3+ Invuln Castellan, Knight Castellan, the big one, which could also stand back up if it was killed, or this, that, and the other. And then, what was it, something of companions? I think it was the Tyrannus sub-faction command point stratagem, which let them reroll all hits, all wounds, all damage. Which is just nuts. Like, honestly, that book was, like I said, it was absolute travesty. They nerfed it after, I think, about a couple of months. Maybe it was a month or 2. It wasn't that long. They did what Games Workshop always does, and they did a double nerf. They put its points up. So it was, it went from like 400 points to 600, something like that. And then they also curtailed the stratagem, so you couldn't get it to a 3+ Invuln, which is, to be fair, is how it should have been, because 3+ invulnerable saves are stupid. But the power level was over 9,000. I think that's fair to say of the Imperial Knights book. I liked the change from generating CP to instead spending CP on your detachments. I really liked that, because it meant you reduced the amount of detachments that you were taking, and it lessened the amount of that was it. Raven had the rerolls. Yeah, because I think I played mine as House Raven. Let me see. House Raven. Which one's the one? Yeah, House Raven. Yeah, the lighthouse with the lightning bolt. That was mine. So I had the Super Castellan re-rolling with the... I think the stream dropped for a second there. I think I played it once. It only really showed itself off brilliantly when I played it against some Drukhari, who had like a Tantalus and things like this, and it just went horribly wrong. He didn't roll any of his saves, and I rolled very hot on all of my hits. Yeah, I think it briefly disconnected for a moment there, which is annoying. We should be back. Yeah, OBS just went, I've disconnected. It did that once before the stream as well. It also desynced my audio at one point, which wasn't great. So yeah, I think they put Knights back into a reasonable place, but they weren't incredible from that point onwards. Chaos Knights didn't have their new models yet, but they were fine. Chaos Knights, Drukhari were interesting for a time. Admech had a very interesting build at one point. The 1950s robots from outer space with the blasters, the phosphor blasters. the ones that fire lots of shots, they were very good. Especially when they were standing near Belisarius' call, and they used a stratagem called Wrath of Mars, which gave them mortal wounds on 6s to wound. That was just very, very good. Gene Stealers moving 52 inches a turn was fun. Yeah, exactly. Kraken Gene Stealers, they were fantastic. Tyranids were okay. I don't think they ever really had a massive time in the sun during 8th edition, apart from Kraken and things like that. I thought they were reasonably quite balanced. 9th, they were absolutely bonkers when they got that. They got the supplement, the Leviathan supplement, and then they had the monster one, whatever it was called. Can't remember. But I thought Tyranids were okay in 8th edition. Space Marines were fine until they weren't, when they brought out the supplements towards the end. And then Iron Hands ruined it for everybody. Because they were just obnoxious. And then they nerfed the Iron Hands to try and curtail them a little bit. And then everyone just swapped to Raven Guard because they were just as bonkers. Raven Guard were able to just deploy Centurions, at least 2 units of Centurions, right in front of you, and then have Devastator Doctrines go off and just wreck you. They were hilarious. Imperial Fists had a brief time in the sun, but they mostly, it wasn't the best thing that they ever had. The pre-Blood of Baal Blood Angels Codex was incredible. Dark Angels, very similar, very good. Grey Knights had an interesting time of it. They just weren't pointed very well for most of the edition, Grey Knights. They played okay, but they just weren't pointed very well. Custodies, they got basically an entire brand new range in 8th edition, which was great. And, you know, they got all the Virtus Praetors and things like that. So they were fascinating when they came out, and they worked really well. There was 1,000 points. You could fill 1,000 points really easily. So one of the things I ran very early on, this is what I took to the LGT when it was held at the London Stadium. I took 1,000 points of Custodes. So I took a mix. My 1,000 points of Imperial Guard was hilarious. Let me tell you what it was. I had a Baneblade with all 4 sponsons being las cannons and twin heavy bolters. That was what we had. Right. To back up the Baneblade, we had a Salamander command vehicle and a Trojan support vehicle. To also back them up, we had 2 Primaris Psykers and a Commander. Right. The whole point of this was that we were able to basically, using Cadian stratagem, overlapping fields of fire, using the Trojan and using the Salamander command vehicle, if we managed to do a wound on something with one of the little sponson guns on one of the other vehicles, we would be able to have a Baneblade hitting on 2s, rerolling, wounding, mostly on 2s, rerolling, damage. There was a way to do it. It was absolutely insane. It was bonkers. And then I backed that up with some Custodes. Basically, it was just a captain, a shield captain with in Alarus Terminator armor, backed up with some other Alarus Terminators and a Vexilla, and some just normal Custodes. I think of the Virtus Praetors as well I had in there. Chaos Soup. Yeah, that was a thing. Chaos Soup. Mortarion and Magnus. Super Smash Brothers. That was a thing for a while. That was always great to see. One of the absolute terrors of 8th edition was Eldari. Specifically, Elatok Eldari Flyers. Because back then, modifiers to hit were not capped at -1. So, if I've got this right in my head, Elatok Flyers were -1 to... Flyers were -1 to hit. Elatok meant they were a further -1 to hit, which made them -2 to hit. And then if they were outside 12 inches or something like that, they basically got another -1 to hit. So they're pretty much, I think they were always pretty much always -2 to hit unless you were inside 12 inches. But there was a way to make them -4 to hit, so you just couldn't shoot them. That was absolutely horrible. However, I played Blood Angels, so I had Smash Captains. Captain Le Smash. So it didn't matter about being -1 to hit. If you're going to hit someone with a Thunder Hammer, it hits every time. The Blood Angel Smash Captain. Oh, what an absolute angel he was. Artisan of War for a damage 4 Thunder Hammer. You could give him the Angel's Wing, which let him re-roll charges, and he couldn't be the target of Overwatch. And it ruined so many people's lives. They would just be like, I've got all of these flavors, especially Eldari flyers, right? Hemlock Wraith fighters. Everyone thought they were safe with their Hemlock Wraith fighters because it was an auto-hitting weapon. Everyone thought they were safe until the Blood Angel Smash Captain appeared, at which point you'd be like, well, I'm going to Overwatch then. It's like, nope, you can't. So quite often you quite often find a Latok Eldar armies that had either 3 Crimson Hunter Exarchs and 2 Hemlocks, or the other way around. Tau. Oh, yeah, I mean, Tau were okay. Tau weren't amazing. Tau got punished for much of 8th for being hideous in 9th. They had a couple of really good tricks. The main one being the incredibly irritating shield drones thing. Problem is, like I said, I played Blood Angels. So you could use you could send in right, so you could send in your Blood Angel Smash Captain. You could use Upon Wings of Fire to throw him to anywhere on the board, so you could put him 9 inches away. You could then do the other one, which is name I can't remember, to give him 3d6 charge out of Deep Strike. So you send this absolute missile like that. You pay for it. He'd be a Death Company captain. I believe that was something you could do to give him an extra attack and Black Rage and Feel No Pain and this, that, and the other. You could then use Red Rampage as a psychic power on him to give him an extra D3 attacks. And then there was a way to basically pump him up to be roughly in the area of 8 to 9 attacks with a Thunder Hammer that he was hitting on 2s, -1 because it's Thunder Hammer, re-rolling 1s because of himself. Didn't need the re-rolling wounds because you were wounding everything on 2s anyway because you were strength 9 or 10, something like that. There's a way to give them extra strength. I can't remember exactly how you did it. Basically, and you could fight twice with characters for a stratagem, right? So basically, remember, Blood Angels, the way they worked. So I had a battalion that existed in the army to pay for the command points to fuel him. So when I would play against, for example, Eldari with their 3 flyers, I had one game where somebody had 5 flyers and the Smash Captain by himself. They've deployed them in such a way that they were all really close together and touching. One game where my Blood Angel Smash Captain took 3 of them by himself and tagged the 4th, so it couldn't do anything. So he flew in. He was able to charge 3d6 charge. So I rolled something like a 13, 14. He ended up right between these three flyers. Blew up 2 it blew up 1 and half of the other one in the first round of combat. Then I paid the CP to make him fight again, so he killed that one and the other one. And their opponent was just like, well, that's probably game, isn't it? And I was like, shouldn't have deployed them so close, man. Did you know about Smash Bat in AOS 2, I think it was? Oh, yeah. I also, in AOS 1, I played Thunderstrike Brotherhood. I think is what it was called, which was hilariously good fun. That was how you had Retributors drop down, doing mortal wounds on 4s to wound in the combat phase. You also combined it with the Knight Azeroth so that people could appear 3 inches away to make, or 6 inches away rather than 9 inches away. Basically, they had to, in one of them, the Knight Azeroth, the way he used to work, the lantern was basically a beacon for all the deep strike of the Stormcast. So, as long as you deep struck within 6 inches of the Knight Azeroth, you could appear closer than the 9 inches that you had to. That was a great stratagem. Strategy. It wasn't stratagem. That was just using rules. You're never late, Plopsicorn. You're always on time. You arrive precisely when you mean to. Good evening, David Cutter. I didn't think Grey Knights were that bad. In 8th edition. They weren't great. Their Psychic Awakening was better. They were pretty good in 9th. And then everyone else's codex came out, which is sad. The problem Grey Knights had is they came out super early. You know, like Space Marines and Death Guard were first, and I think Grey Knights were next, which was strange. And then they just suffered because of codex creep. So far, to give 10th its credit, we haven't had any codex creep, but I don't think anyone's particularly covered in glory at the moment in 10th edition in terms of codexes. Yeah. So Gavriel Shoreheart, his command ability is friendly Stormcast wholly within 9 of him. It used to be wholly within 9 of him. You added 3 to their charge distance. You were able to do the same command multiple times in 2nd. So you would stack command points in any way that you could in order to have him pop that 2 or 3 times so that you got a plus 9 inches to your charge with Gav. Which was silly. It was very, very, very silly. That's it. That then changed. I think it definitely changed in AOS 3 because obviously you can't do that anymore. It specifically, if you can do a command ability multiple times, it specifically says you can. Otherwise you can't. But you used to be able to do it for everything. So if there was a command ability you liked and it provided a really good buff, you could do it multiple times, which was silly. But I mean, again, this is one of those things. But if you played open play Age of Sigmar in AOS 1, you basically, there was no cap at all on modifiers, right? So if you had things like the Glotkin, right? There was a build in open play with the Glotkin where he basically auto wounded with all of his attacks until you hurt him. And like, some people really hated that, but from an open play narrative perspective, it's very cool. Because it also means, like, you know, you have to do other stuff to get things working, to take him down. But as I said, this is open play. That never happened in matched, so it never happened at a tournament level. Predictions for AOS 4th. There will be new Stormcast. Who knows what the opposite faction will be? I suspect it'll be Chaos. Talked about this before. It'll be Chaos that face off against some Stormcast Eternals. Which chaos? People believe it's going to be Skaven. Skaven would be pretty cool. I would like to see what they're called. I would like to see the Dark Oath War clans get a full range. So that would be fun to have them. Although it does seem a little bit unfair to have the Stormcast Eternals beating up on basically tribes people, which isn't great. Wasn't there another way you could basically deploy your Stormcast Eternals army right in front of your opponent after deploying it and then have his charge buff? Yeah, there was a way of doing it. Yeah. There was a... It wasn't the Azeroth anymore. I can't remember how you did it. You had to use the Relictor to deploy somewhat, to use his prayer of the Whirlwind prayer, where it throws a unit forward, and then you did something with that. Chaos Dwarves, that would be sick. Good evening, Chewie. Good evening, Gordon. One of the fun ones in with Stormcast Eternals in first edition was the Prosecutors build with a huge blob of Invincible Liberators. You could get them to a 2+ rerollable save, 2+ rerolling 1 save, and any 6s healed. 6s to hit, 6s to save, heal the Stormcast. So you basically had a Castellant and a block of like 30 Liberators. You basically just teleported them next to the Knight Azeroth, and just put this block in the middle of the table that just your opponent just would never be able to kill. That also went pretty sharpish in second. You couldn't do it anymore because it was the Battalion War Scrolls. They all went pretty quickly. You paid points for them, which is a good way of doing it. It was a good way of improving upon the formations from 40k, which you didn't pay points for. You just got them for free. But you paid points for basically your Battalion War Scrolls, which are great. So you were paying points for the rules. Just some were a lot better than others. I'm tossing up between Seraphon, Slaves to Darkness, and Soulblight Gravelords at the moment. Dinosaurs currently in the lead. Coatl's Claw looks like fun. Yeah. Seraphon have got a number of really cool different builds as well. You can go Starborn or Coalesced, and then within that you've got I think they're all reasonable. Coatl's Claw is a good one. I can't remember the name of the one in the Starborn side that's good. But one's a bit more Skinks focused and the other is a bit more Saurus focused. Either way, they're both good. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming, and yet we have a 10k bitrate. So what are you talking about? Seraphon have one of the prettiest ranges. Soulblight do too. Like I said, all their characters are phenomenal. I really like the look of the new Sakar ladies. She's cool. But Ivia Volga's nice. Radikar the Beast, he's lovely. Torgilius and all that kind of thing from Cursed City. Just great set of models. Worst part of 8th edition. Worst part of Divorce was the X ripping up my 40k 1st edition signed by Rick Priestley and my Golden Demon Idiot Contender badge. Oh, that's awful. I'm sorry, Gordon. That's rubbish. That's destruction of personal property. That's not cool. I tell you what, YouTube's being really funny tonight. It's trying to stop me from. It's trying to stop me from reminiscing. Hello, Kataro. How are you, buddy? Do you know what I think? The reason why I miss 8th edition as much as I do is because I feel like 9th edition, from many ways, was a bit of a write-off. And I mean that because half of it we were trapped in quarantine. And so couldn't get out and play and practice and enjoy it. Most of it, in fact, it launched basically in quarantine, didn't it? So that was an issue for actually enjoying the edition. It wasn't until all of that was lifted that we were finally able to go back to playing with each other. But then by that point, you know, there had been some silly bloat in the codexes in terms of power. So when the very first event that I went to post quarantine, I think, was the Goonhammer Open in Nottingham, where it was like, if you draw Admech or Drakari, you're just going to get bullied off the table. You've got no chance. There's nothing you can do about it. Just accept your fate. And then, you know, every codex that came out was every codex that came out was bruh. And like, I didn't particularly enjoy the style of gameplay, but you know, it is what it is. Every event that you went to anyway was using ITC, so you know, if you're only playing competitive games, then you can't really have a problem with it. And then 10th, I haven't really played. I just haven't really had the time or the chance or the inclination to, because I look at my armies and I go, oh, I'm just going to get shot in the face and it's not going to be fun for me and I don't like it. And I was like, oh, I should just bite the bullet and pull the trigger and just go for it and play some games and try and enjoy the game. But trying to muster up the excitement for that when at the same time you've got AOS happening and all the stuff that's going on over there. It was just a problem. And so I yearn for the days of 8th edition, because 8th edition was where I met properly. It's where I met people like Mr. Quatkin, Reza Prime, ADR Wargaming. It's during that time that I fostered these relationships, and it's also kind of during that time when the channel started. So that's where I kind of long for the past, as it were. Gordon Pryor has gifted 5 of the finest Warhipster memberships. Thank you very much, Gordon. That is very, very kind of you. You've put us on 805. You're exceptional. All of you are exceptional out there. Chewie's green again. He's a green guy. He's a green dude. Strength 8, AP 5, damage 5, bloodletter, or mortal charging blood crushers. You should definitely give it a go. How are you getting strength 8, AP 5, damage 5, bloodletters? Is that in 10th? Do you remember the bloodletter bomb in 8th? Do you remember it? Because I do. It was beautiful. It was a wonderful sight to behold. Oh. Cultist spam as well. That was a time. I remember Kareem taking up. Apparently the stream dropped again. Sorry. It was. I looked over at him and he was playing. He was playing a game. He was playing a game against some guard, and a guard. It was all tanks. All the guard player had to do was sit back and chew through cultists with Punisher cannons, but instead charged one in. So he just tagged the tank with all 120 of his cultists, and therefore couldn't be going. So that's the game. The guy was like, "Well, I might be able to do something." Nope, you can't shoot into combat. Oh yes, I remember it well, Paul. It was back in the days of the daisy chain. There was plague bearer spam as well. That was a good one. 120 plague bearers, or 90 plague bearers, I think it was. You took a lot of plague bearers and just filled the board with. That was back when disgustingly resilient was still a thing. Oh, there's just rules that I just miss. 200 plague bearers. Was it ever as many as that? Hello, Liam. How you feeling, buddy? You feeling better? I've been looking after your audience. I graduated from the warm-up show to the main event, and I hope I've been doing a good enough job. I've got 2 sounds for you, Liam, on my soundboard, and they're about as generic as it's possible to be. What's prompted the 8th edition memory lane? Honestly, the balanced data slate. I long for a time when we didn't have very many of those. I was looking at it earlier and I was like, there's 20 pages of rules commentary here. Brr. There's a lot of pages of rules commentary, as well as the changes to the indexes, as well as all the points changes. I was reading it and I was just like, oh man, I miss Index Hammer. Liam is not my fluffer. Liam's in bed. Oh no. Hey yo. Middle Earth is your game then. Yeah. No, I probably should have been playing Middle Earth for the last 10 years. Just didn't get to. It's funny, I wish there was more time in the day, you know, more hours in the day. And we've talked about it in the past. I would love to add lots of battle report content to the channel. It's just unfortunately the space in which I have to film is okay, but it doesn't look particularly nice on camera because it's a potting shed. It's very, 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 very small in there. So it's a little bit tricky to do it. We would probably need to move. And you know, we haven't really got any pressure to move. Just yet. That said, you know, we'll always keep an eye out. You know, on the ideal place to go to, because like we said, I'd like to add a lot of battling content. I'd love to add that. That would be where I would get to do things like that. Things like playing Middle Earth battle reports, playing Age of Sigmar battle reports, playing Old World, playing alternative game systems like Shatterpoint, and playing things like Black Powder and Bolt Action and stuff like that. Just you know, the other aspect of the hobby that for me used to be so important when I was 16. It used to be my favourite part, all the way through until probably about 28. Probably around about when I started this channel. Painting tutorials. I mean, I obviously enjoyed the painting because otherwise I wouldn't be here. But yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just sadly we don't have the space for it. And like making reports about like skirmish games. I'd like to do it, but I don't. I'd like to establish it after doing mainline big stuff because I love playing the big games. Especially when you get to just like kind of create your own scenario, this, that, and the other, and play your own narratives out and do all that kind of thing. Like that's what I really love doing. So it's where my experience of playing Middle Earth really comes from, is playing that so much with my brother when I was younger. We didn't make up scenarios, but we thought we were really cool when we discovered that we could use the dimmer switch to represent the rising sun. And then we would be like, oh, it's -2 to hit with a bow in the dark, but as it gets lighter, you gain more and more. So like the orcs are really going to struggle to hit anything with a bow, and the rangers are going to be going to struggle, but they'll get better and better as time goes on. So the orcs need to get in there and get stabbing before the rangers can line up their shots and this, that, and that. That's what we did as a kids. That was some of my fondest Warhammer memories, is doing that. I love it. And then obviously, as I mentioned, I've met people like Mr. Reza Prime, Mr. Gwatkin, in 8th edition 40k. Because of 8th edition 40k, that brought us together. That's a really special thing. And that hasn't really happened because of the quarantine for 9th and 10th. I just haven't had the desire to go to any events. I think what I should do is I should just book a ticket for an event and just go and get it over with, get it over with, and just like kind of kickstart my engagement in the edition. You've been summoned. Have you been summoned to Urzikstan? Is that where you've been summoned, Rez? Are you going off to play Call of Duty without me? It's interesting you say that, Trunk, about the Primaris, because for me they were a massive breath of fresh air. I didn't see them as bland. I saw them as a revitalization of Space Marines, and thus the entire setting. What they were was a representation of hope, and also a forward direction for the game, because we just had we just had the Gathering Storm. The Gathering Storm was an incredible the Gathering Storm was great. It moved the dial. Like I remember my earliest memories. I played before this, but some of my earliest memories of playing 40k was in the 13th Black Crusade, and I think I was 12 or 13, maybe a bit older. I can't remember when that was, what year it was, but my very first game of 40k I played when I was 8, I think, in the shop. I went to a beginner's day on a Sunday. I had some space orcs, right? That was where it started. It's where I learned basically the fundamentals. So that would have been 3rd edition when I was 8, because that would have been 1998. Excuse me. So yeah, I think that was what it was. As far as I know, having taken part in the 13th Black Crusade, it just sat still. Story sat still from that point for minimum 10 years, maximum 12, 15, something like that. And then Gathering Storm happened, and Gathering Storm was like, hey, are you guys paying attention? Because we're moving the game forward, we're moving the story forward. The story moves forward, it brings back a Primarch, a Loyalist Primarch, something I never thought I would see, which is unbelievable. And just incredibly exciting, and awesome, and wonderful, and that was, and then Dark Imperium dropped, and that was when the Primaris Marines came, basically changing Space Marines forever at that point. I saw them as not necessarily bland. I know some people did, and I'm not saying you're wrong. To me, they were a representation of moving the game forward, and that was what was very exciting about it, which is where I get a little bit with the 10th box, because the 10th box is not about moving it forward, it's about retreading old ground, especially as we're doing a tyrannic war, another one. So, you know, who knows? I sound like I'm really down on 10th. It's not that I'm down on 10th, it's that I'm just not engaged in it at the moment. And I think my tune could change if I started playing some more games of it. But right now, I don't feel like I need to. I'll never not love the models and the background of 40k. You know, it's where I cut my teeth, really. You know, more so than like Warhammer Fantasy Battles. I played a little bit of Warhammer Fantasy Battles as a young warthog, but it was mostly 40k and Middle Earth was what I played. So I think of those times and I think about that, and you know, I loved 8th. I loved 8th for what it represented. And it's funny because you started off 8th, basically 7th ended and 8th began with the Gathering Storm. But then it ended with the Psychic Awakening, and it started with and 9th began with the Psychic Awakening, which wasn't as good impactfully in terms of the story. The rules were great, the new models were fantastic, but it wasn't like unbelievable, you know what I mean? Big Bad Peter Gaming, thank you very much for the gifted membership. That's very kind of you. Put us on 806 now. If we get 2 more, we can say 808, and then I can press this button more. Do you think we will get another Primarch back? Yes, Paul. I do. And if I had to guess which one... Stream died for a minute. It's very peculiar. I wonder if the the two that I think is it still buffering? I'm just going to say it twice. Loyalist-wise, Lehman Russ. Traitor-wise, Fulgrim. I think it's fairly obvious that that's what the pattern here is. Especially with Chaos. It's very, very simple. Who are the god-aligned Primarchs? Like, you know, the pinnacles, like the Pantheon's champions. Magnus, Mortarion, Angron, and Fulgrim. Fulgrim's the last one. 40k for Loyalists. Dark Angels, they've had a codex for years and a model range. Space Wolves, they've had a codex and a model range for years, and so have Blood Angels. So if I had to guess, the 4 that I would suggest that you will see for the Loyalists are Gilliman, Russ, the Lion, not Sanguinius, but the Sanguinor, because Sanguinius is dead. That would be my guess, is what it would be. I think the other Primarchs could all make a return at some point, but in order to really rev sales of those, what you'd need is an army set. You'd need an army range to go with them. So you'd need specific units and a supplement for them. Because you shouldn't have Gilliman, Korax, Dawn, the Khan, Vulcan. You shouldn't have them all in one book. That's too confusing. So I would guess I would guess that they would stop at 4 on each side. And then maybe like a Mac Daddy of them all. So Horus. I think you. I mean, Peter, you're probably right. They probably will all come back, and eventually it'll get to the point where you have the 40k equivalents. The 40k equivalent of Space Marines specifically. You have 40k equivalents of the Horus Heresy miniatures. Horus Heresy. But I don't want it to happen. How would you feel if GW decides to retcon Sanguinius' death and brings him back? I don't think it would be good. I don't think it would be good for the quality of the plot. I don't think Sanguinius should ever come back, because it cheapens the sacrifice. It also removes any jeopardy. If you're going to bring Sanguinius back, just bring Ferrus Manus back, and then just bring Horus back, and we'll just play Horus Heresy in the 51st millennium. Bring Conrad Kurz back, why not? Bring Alfarius back, why not? Just don't kill anyone. No one dies. Because if they bring all 9, of each back, are there more dead loyalists? Because Sanguinius is dead, Ferrus is dead. No, it's even, isn't it? Because Kurz is dead and Horus is dead. Oh no. Because Alfarius is dead as well. It's fairly well confirmed in the Horus Heresy that Alfarius bites it when he fights Dawn. And Omegon, I believe, is killed by Guilliman. To maximize and complete a range. So if you just bring Corvus Corax back, how do people get the most out of being a Raven Guard fan if all they've got is Corax, Shrike, and an upgrade kit? Do you see what I mean? So it's to say, like, the reason, like, bringing the Lion back makes sense is because you've got the entirety of the Dark Angels Codex. Same for the Russ. Russ returning, you got the entirety of the Space Wolves Codex. Sanguinius, or the Sanguinor, you got the entirety of the Blood Angels Codex there. Those would be the 3 that I would expect to see, and Dark Angels have already had. I don't know why I just flipped you off. The Dark Angels would be. I've already got theirs. If you release Vulcan or the Khan, you need to release a model range with them, because otherwise, it's just the Primarch, and there's nothing else to go with it. So I would guess that you are more likely to see Primarchs return that lead ranges than you would see Primarchs returning with a full new range behind them. Because, like I said, it would just be rubbish if the only things you had access to are 2 characters and an upgrade kit to go along with your man. Dawn comes back as a Black Templar. That would be interesting. Where is Sigismund? It didn't end well for Sigismund. Well, no. He got a warrior's death. He had a lovely time. I mean, the end wasn't great. Sigismund's an absolute boss. Hello, Exian Power. So yeah, that's just based on. I just want the Snake Father soon to join my noise mirrors. Yeah, no, he'll be the next Chaos Primarch, 100%. And Emperor's Children will get a range behind them, like Angron did, like Magnus did, like Mortarion did. You think we will ever see Sigmar himself as a model? No. No, I don't think we will. He'd be too impossible to balance. He's the strongest of the ascended gods. He leads a entire Grand Alliance, right? He is the God King. Sigmar. It would be impossible to balance him. It'd be like putting Khorne. He's not as powerful as them, but it'd be like putting Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Slaanesh into the game. What I think we should see happen is the Celestant Prime actually power up and become the Sigmar representative, like the Greater Demon representative, the faction leader. He is kind of now, but he's also overshadowed by things like the dragons, especially rules-wise and models. And like Bastion Carthalos is just a beautiful model that surpasses the Celestant Prime in all ways. But the Celestant Prime's War Scroll should be a lot better. Sigmar was a god in the old world. Again, an ascended god. He was a man that became a god, and then he pops up by kind of not possessing, but I guess a piece of his power is granted to various avatars throughout time. It's said that Karl Franz was. He wasn't, I don't think, but he did wield the God Hammer. He did become it in 8th edition. Volton, he had a piece of Sigmar's power. I think Magnus the Pious as well also had a bit of it. It's how he was able to overcome Asava Kul during the Great War of Chaos. I think it's Asava Kul. I could be wrong. Somebody out there will correct me if I was completely wide of the mark. I love that during the Heresy, Dark Angels painted plates of armor in bone colours when they would take damage for another brother, and now I want to randomly paint bone plates on my Dangels. Yeah. So for the companions, I believe, it's one of those things, because there was a Deathwing. The Dark Angels in the Heresy era are funny because you have the Deathwing. There's 6 wings. There's the Raven Wing, the Deathwing, the Dreadwing, the Fire Wing, and there's another one, I think. Maybe there's 5 wings of death. Of the Dark Angels, and they're sort of organizations within the organization. So you call the formation of we're gonna do the Dreadwing now, and then all of the Dreadwing Marines would come out into a different formation and fight a different way. They weren't like they are now, where there's a company of Deathwing, company of Ravenwing. You had specific tactics that people were assigned to that they would fight normally, but then become part of Ironwing. There you go. There's some really cool stuff with the Dark Angels. The Hexagrammaton. There you go. That was the word I was trying to think of then. That's their sword exercises that they do around the sigil that's carved into the floor of the monastery of the rock itself. There's really cool stuff in the Heresy novels of Zahariel, not Zariel. One of the matriarchs of hell in D&D. Zahariel, learning the sword forms. Sigmar himself versus 2k points of Skaven. It wouldn't even be close, Vicious Goose. He's the God King Sigmar. He would they would just leave a mark. This is the man that punched out Behemat. I think he punched out Behemat. Yeah. Behemat, the god of giants, was dared by Gork and or Mork to challenge Sigmar to a fight. Because Gork was jealous of Behemat and just dared him to do silly things all the time, so Behemat would do it because he's dumb. And Sigmar punched him out. Any vague idea when you might be finishing the rest of the Cruel Boys range? Well, it's looking like February might be reasonably clear, so I might be able to do some Cruel Boys stuff in February. At the moment, it's looking reasonable. There we go. Disconnected again. So in Feb, I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 videos and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 streams to do. I did say hello, Axion Power. Hello again. $1 million points of Skaven, maybe. Yeah, maybe that would be fun. Just need the Marsh Crawler Slogoth, really. I'll see what I can do. February, like I said, February's looking pretty clear. It's me. OBS keeps being... OBS keeps just disconnecting randomly. It's just done it again. I would guess Eshin. Gorkin Gaming. Mr. Gorkin. You got State of Play on PlayStation YouTube channel? Have I watched it? On occasion. I don't really keep up with it though. Oh, it's just about to start. Well, I'm going to be logging off in 3 minutes because we'll have been streaming for 2 hours. And that's usually my lot. Also, I've got lots of stuff to do tonight. And tomorrow. And Friday. I've got a busy one. I've got a busy week. And in fact, this weekend's also very busy. But next week it clears up. So I've got some other stuff to get on with. Like the Tomb Kings. And the Bretonnians. And some Seraphon. So yeah. So yeah. If anyone has any further questions in the last 2 minutes, then do let me know. But Hello, Adam. How would you paint dark red armor? How dark are we talking? Will you be doing any more Lord of the Rings tutorials? Yes, I will. There's a lot more of them coming. As a Blood Angel's new novice collector, what's the difference between Death Company runes and the Intercessors? At the moment, that's a really difficult question to answer because it's probably going to change. If the rumors are to be believed, I would guess that if things go the way they have gone, there would be a new Death Company kit, presumably. At which point, I would guess that the old ones will go, and I would also guess that you would perhaps lose all the Thunder Hammers and stuff. At the moment, the difference is that the Death Company Marines, the older ones, can basically each and every single one of them can take their own weapon. So you can equip them all with Thunder Hammers and stuff, or Power Fists, or Inferno Pistols, and this, that, and the other. Whereas Death Company Intercessors, they either have a bolt rifle or a heavy bolt pistol and Astartes chainsword, and one of them can exchange that for a Thunder Hammer or Power Fist or Power Weapon. That's pretty much the difference. I think the Primaris versions, the bigger versions, the Intercessor versions, have an extra attack and maybe an extra wound, but otherwise, I would. The original guys with death jump packs, they are better in my opinion, but at the moment that's all likely to change. What other questions do we have here? Thank you very much for subscribing, Paul. What is the best song in the world? That's a really hard one to answer. I don't know. Honestly, there are so many I can think of in that moment that I'm like, yeah, I can't think. There's a ton of there's too many. Question: should I finish Azrael or paint more Uruk-hai tonight before bed? Paint more Uruk-hai. Do that. Broaden your horizons, and you'll get more done because they're better and they're quicker. 54 models in January. Slacking. I shall give you my pile of shame to crack on with. No, I've got my own one. Please don't add any more to mine. How can I do metallic bone armor? That's an interesting one. Metallic bone. Let me have a look. That is accurate. Metallic bone. you're almost worth, I don't know how well this would work, but you're almost worth kind of making it look like the recesses are metallic and that the bone has been painted on as paint. That's one way of doing it, right? So you can get it like almost like it's like a peeling thing, or it's weathered type of thing. The other thing you could possibly do is go for a really pale, something like... Because Rune Lord Brass could work if you buff it on, so you do use a drive brush method to give it that kind of like a sort of a brassy feel, and then that would probably be what I would do. But I'll have a think. That's a really interesting one. Other questions. Thoughts on the updated Blood Angels faction rule? I think it makes them better against stuff they didn't need to be better against, and combat as a whole in 10th isn't very good. Which is another part of why it doesn't particularly entice me to play 10th edition, is that my two favourite armies are combat focused, demons and Blood Angels. Blood Angels potentially are a little bit better against stuff they don't need to be better against, but it is a buff. Like there's no denying that it is a buff. So the fact that it's +2 strength, that's good. That is good. Like I said, the thing that you struggle with is like 8th, 9th, and degree in 7th as well. You could handle stuff in combat, like the big stuff in combat. Whereas the problem for Blood Angels is you still need to take away from combat in order to have guns to be able to deal with some things like heavy armor. So it's a slight. For me, that's like because I want to take 30 Death Company and 30 Vanguard veterans and still have a good time, not just get shot off the board in turn 2. Was it already revealed when the Usheran video will be released? Not yet, Gendo. You'll find out soon. If indeed there is a Usheran video. I don't know. Who knows? It's going to try Horde over Chrome. Yeah, that could work. It could work. It's hard, but my Marines are all metallic green. Yeah, it is a tricky one. That you want to have a really bright metallic to act as the base. You couldn't go for a sort of darker metallic, which might mean you end up having to do quite a few layers to get it. A bonus to charge editions like older editions would be nice. Yeah, absolutely, Cameron. Absolutely. The thing I worry about for a lot of combat is how stuff has lost its punch by being turned into heirloom weapons or something like that. So it might be that Death Company end up becoming like savage weapons, so that you don't invalidate your thunder hammers and all that kind of thing, but they're no longer thunder hammers. So it's like the way Blood Angels dealt with armor was with combat, because their combat was that good. If you can't do that now, you have to sacrifice combat to take guns, which is not playing the way Blood Angels should play when their bonuses are to close combat. It just puts a silly redundancy in it. Basically, combat in 10th edition is not very good, and I play I play one army that is fully combat focused, and the other one is combat specialized and combat focused. So it's like What am I supposed to do? I'll just buy another army. No, it's not. It's not how it works. Is the thing. If something's you shouldn't make a product. You shouldn't change yourself to fit a product. You just shouldn't. If the way I like to play Warhammer 40,000 is with is with close combat demons, is with Khorne demons, and my army sucks, I shouldn't go, well, I guess I have to buy some Eldari now. This is not how it works. That's not the way to. That is not the way. That is not the way to enjoy a game. Point combat patrols worth less than 300 points. Oh. Oh. Oh no. Yeah, I mean, there you go, Scarbrand. That's the... Especially for you, if you want to play mono Khorne. I have a mono Khorne list. And after the points drops, I can afford 10 more bloodletters, which are toughness 4, toughness 3, toughness 4, 1 wound models. Okay. This does not improve the army. Not really. It's just 10 extra targets for bolt guns. See what I mean? I hope AOS 4 will not kill it. No, I don't think it will. I don't think AOS is going to change that much, honestly. I think they'll augment it with something. But they're not, I don't think they're going to... Because melee is the main focus of AOS. One of the reasons why I love it so much. This is a lot less shooting. You know, in Age of Sigmar, which is great. This means you have to be a little bit more asset managey, which I love as a game. I'm bad at it, but I love it. I think battle tactics will get a change up. Yeah, they might do. I'm not buying Rendmasters. I don't like them. I don't care how good they are. I don't like the model. I will play a game of 10th edition if someone wants to not kick me in the face with a competitive list and just chill out and roll dice. But I'm not buying a Rendmaster just to paint one, just to make my army work. I'm trying to avoid spending money on models when I've got enough models to finish off army. Do you know a way to match the color of Dawnstone but with contrast paints? Oh, it is quite a difficult one. Because Basilicanum Grey doesn't do it. and Rattling Grime doesn't do it. Your best... Your best... Your best off trying to mix somewhere between Space Wolves Grey and Basilicanum Grey. Between the two, you can get close to Dawnstone, but there's not a perfect colour match for Dawnstone. Is the problem? Like there isn't a perfect colour match for Mechanica Standard Grey, which is obviously the root of it. Because if there was, then that's what I would say is take that and thin that down. But there isn't a perfect match for it, which is frustrating. Again, a reasonable colour, Black Templar to a reasonable amount to get close to sort of a Mechanica Standard Grey, but getting it up to Dawnstone is quite hard. There's not, like I said, there's not an analogous colour, which is one of the things that's a big hole in contrast paint, is that type of grey. There isn't a good, there isn't a simple way of getting there. Because you're right, Basilicanum Grey isn't quite right because it's too brown. It's more closer to like a really dark version of Storm Vermin Fur. Yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, it is what happens. I think there was a super chat I missed from Brother of Titans. Sorry. Thank you very much for the 5, buddy. I'm going to update you. I'm sorry I missed your super chat. I hope that sort of answers your question. There is a couple of choices, things that you can try, like I said. Can you add Dawnstone or Dawnstone Air to the mix to get it closer, or will that ruin the contrast effect? The two paints won't play well together. Mixing base and layer paints with contrast paints, you end up just thinning down the paint and then kind of corrupting the color. Like I said, like a one-to-one of Space Wolves and Basilicanum Grey is a place to maybe try and start, but it's not particularly, like I said, there's not an analogous color, which is a shame, because Basilicanum Grey is too dark. It says going at 10, any questions, then 15 minutes later still answering questions. Yeah, that is what happens. But yeah, I'm very sorry, Brother of Titans. Dawnstone on its own is just it is a good paint. What are you using for out of interest? Like, what is it you need to do? That might be able to provide a bit more help that way. Do you play Darktide? I haven't for a while, but I have done. I like Darktide, it is good. The gameplay loop got a little bit repetitive, so it's not a game that's hard to pick back up, you see what I mean? Painting Guard. Oh, and it's for the armor, right? You want a Dawnstone base? Or for the fatigues? We tried to convince Liam to do it. He wasn't interested. It wasn't really his thing. Oh, I see. Including the tanks. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, trying to get into Trying to get a good contrast mix for the tanks in particular that's close to Dawnstone would be quite hard to do. One thing you're probably better off doing, as much as I would love to help you better with contrast paints, if you check out some of the videos that Artis Opus has on dry brushing, that's a really quick way of getting Dawnstone onto your tanks, especially using Dawnstone. It's using that circular motion to buff up the Dawnstone colour on top of a black undercoat or a dark grey undercoat. If I wanted to get to Dawnstone quickly, the way I would probably do it is spray a tank with Mechanica Standard Grey, and then use a circular dry brush to buff up to Dawnstone across all of the flat panels. Would be how I would do it, and you would be done in 10 minutes. You could then do an actual dry, like a normal standard up and down dry brush of Administratum Grey all over it, and you would be done with all of the armor, especially on vehicles. And then for infantry, you just paint with Dawnstone, and then use the newer shades over Dawnstone, because it won't take too much away from Dawnstone, but it will give you really good panel shading. So using Null Oil. Does that help? Isn't this the exact combo we had re-Mygard? Yeah, because you wanted to do Basilicanum Grey and black, and I was like, no, it'll look brown and black. Because Basilicanum Grey is a fine paint, but it's not ideal. And Cert, thank you very much for becoming a member. That's very, very kind of you. And then Tommy. If the stream just died then, I'm sorry. I'm very well, Tommy. How are you? Are you good? Honestly, tonight, the stream has just been like, come on now. OBS, seriously.
Bruh.
What are you doing? Adam. Oh, I should have done this. And then Adam has gifted 10 memberships as well. Thank you very much, Adam. That's very, very, very kind of you. Thank you. Making terrain for the games. I'm dying. Oh man. I need to paint some terrain. I need to paint some terrain. Again, we talk about all this wanting to do battle report content. I need more terrain. Is he going to leak again? I might. I said I was going to go, and then people are just like, no, you must stay. Have gifts. Oh no, he's crying again. Tommy, don't. Tommy, stop. Tommy's gifted 20 memberships. Another 20. Thank you. Oh my goodness. That is very kind of you. That puts us at 857. I need to get Sue as a button. All I have is Hipster. And and the Vine Boom. Thank you guys. Thank you. Please don't get Sue. Okay, I won't. Sue. I need a third one. I need like a cheer. I didn't think about that. I thought I was gonna drop hot takes like things like +2 strength on the charge isn't all an improvement as people think it is. But that'll get cut up. And everyone will be very mean to me about that. Like I said, I think it makes them better against things they didn't need to be better against. 100 likes as well. You guys are unbelievable. You guys are... Oh, Tommy, you're living the dream. I love that stuff. I love doing that kind of thing. I don't do it anywhere near enough. But that kind of thing's awesome. Oh man, I need to do some more. I haven't done it in ages. That's the problem. And I want to do more terrain stuff, which is why I need Rich. I need Rich to move into his new house, so that we can put a workbench in his house and we can work on stuff together. Because Rich really wants to do it as well. I want to make Helm's Deep, and I want to make it out of styrofoam and sand and and you know, packing peanuts. I bet you hope Liam cancels more streams. No! Never. Never. I want both Liam and I to prosper wonderfully. I mean, this has been an absolutely bonkers stream. You guys have been incredibly generous, incredibly amazing. This might actually be, contrary to the usual trend in January, this might be the biggest month I've ever had after tonight. I think between 68 new members, the donations that we had on Monday, donations we've had tonight from James, P.D. Ostrander, and everybody else, just really tight and close so that you guys can see things like when I paint eyes and highlights and stuff. That's the whole purpose. Are we back? Adam. Yeah, that puts us at 869.
Bruh.
It dropped again. The stream dropped again. Needs a noise button. Nice cut. Oh, honestly. Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. You can get another boom. So, I think on that note, we're probably going to have to end there because the stream keeps dropping. It's actually becoming annoying now. I will see what the heck is going on, but it keeps disconnecting and reconnecting. So, Adam, thank you very much. Let's see if I actually got a list of all the viewer activity. No. Just refresh the page and see if we can get it. So that I can thank everybody. That appears to have done it. And I hope that that doesn't... And then Paul's become a member. Thank you very much. Do it myself. Thank you, Paul. That's very kind of you. I don't know why you're not getting sniped. It's bizarre. But I want to say a massive, massive thank you to Mark Watson, Big Bad Peter Gaming, Carl of Hodgie, Dazran, Matt D-Wow, Colonel, 149th of the Death Corps of Krieg, Kurt, Mr. Benici, Carl of Hodgie, Mini Painting Dad, Daniel Talpas, Reza Prime, Gordon Pryor, Big Bad Peter Gaming again, Brother of Titans, and of course, Tommy, and some of it's not showing up here on the viewer activity, so we're just going to have to say funding. Massive thank you to Tommy, Adam, Paul, Cert, and of course PD Ostrander and James Matthias for all of your exceptional generosity tonight. You guys are just unbelievable. Thank you so much. Only 99 to go now. Exactly, Paul. 99 and we'll hit the 969. And then the next one obviously is 6,969. It's just got to be done. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you again. Here is the hand of goodbye. I'm going to wave at you. I'm going to slowly press the end stream button. But thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. See you all tomorrow with a video, and then we've got a painting video on Saturday. Who knows what that will be. No, thank you for your amazingness. Bye for now, everybody. Bye-zy bye. Love you. Bye. 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 Bye-zy bye. Bye. Bye.